Okay. So by the time the management got to them, they were already in a deep conversation with an elderly gentleman. The story I heard is he was in his late 70s, early 80s, and he was enjoying the conversation because he was thinking about selling his home. So the manager comes and says, okay, excuse me, ladies, you're going to need to leave. And the man they were talking to says, I'm sorry, who are you? The man, like the guy they're soliciting, said, and he says, I'm the manager of the store. These people are soliciting. He goes, I don't know what they did, but I'm in the middle of a conversation with them, and I am a customer of Costco. So he let him stay long enough to finish the conversation. They got the man's information and then got kicked out. So it's just about moving. I mean, it's a tough listing market, but it's moving outside of your areas of comfort and doing things that would otherwise make you either want to vomit or whatever happens to you when you're very uncomfortable. So, okay. All right. So did anybody get any great lines? Like my wife texted me, I went and found it. Emotion, problem, solution, result, emotion. Does anybody remember that part of the conversation? Judy, you're always saying yes, UNMC, my teacher's pets. So tell me a little bit about what that meant to you, please.
Put it on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just is something to think about. It's always about how they feel about it. And if you can start with that and end with that, it's more authentic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think, yeah, go ahead. MC, what were you going to say?
I just wrote down, it's a great outline for leaving a voicemail.
Okay.
I kind of get stuck when I'm calling a prospect and leaving a message. Ford doesn't really seem to make as much sense, but especially for FSBO voicemails,
Okay.
that was where I thought I might use that.
All right. So talk to me about how they described it. Since I wasn't on the call and I haven't listened to the recording, you use emotion to express a problem, then express the solution, then you get a result, and then you express emotion. Is that what it was kind of like? Like, I want you guys to guide me. Judy?
Well, it was a week ago.
Yeah, I get it.
But yeah, I think so. It's like, do you feel like this when this happens? Well, I could help you with this way, and then you'd feel like this.
Yes. Very good. Yeah. And it's a lot like feel, felt, found, others have felt that way, in the past, and this is what they found, or because I felt like emotion around that kind of thing, problem, solution, and then more emotion. So, yeah, that's good. All right. So, and then what was, did she talk anything about, did Cleve or Tammy talk about any upcoming ramp lives that they're doing? Yes. See? Okay.
Yes, they did. This is Demetria.
Okay.
I think there was a link that they provided on the call to say we could get in at a discounted rate because of the relationship they have with you.
Well, right. And because any of you that have signed up for this, you now have a relationship with Workman Success Systems. It's really, very flattering that she said my relationship with me. It was my relationship that got us that for $149. But because you are technically a Workman customer now, you do get a significant discount on it. So, yeah.
And they talked about the difference between this program and the live as well. And I think you've referenced that in the past as well.
Yeah. Right. And that's fine. The whole idea is that you guys get what you want. Ramp Live is much more expensive, obviously, because it's just one class for 13 weeks. And it's, I think, did they say? Is it like $597 or something? I forget what it was. But anyway,
they didn't say.
Yeah, it's a lot more than your $149 a year is what I mean. But the results that they get, because I can't be doing this every single day. I probably could, but I don't know where I would fit it in. they're getting by talking to the people every single day and going through accountability of what the homework assignment was and what did you actually do, and did you continue making your 3-2-1s, for instance. That's a really big deal, things like that. So yeah. All right. Okay, so who wants to share with me then a little bit about today's week? Today are in week 10. So including today, I think we have 10, 11, and 12. We have today and then 2 more weeks until the program ends. So I'd love to hear frustrations, but also victories. I'd love to hear victories, but I know that there's probably some frustrations. So I'd like to hear what those are and what we can do to sort of help those. So. The noise in there is killing me.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Who's that? Mike?
Spencer. Yeah, Spencer with Mike's team.
Hi, Spence. How are you, buddy?
Good, great.
Good.
So last one, more laws in the database. I thought it was kind of interesting. We talked about nurturing it and growing it, kind of planting the seeds and all of that. So I've been thinking a lot more about nurturing and growing database, but also friendships and relationships that I've had.
Yeah.
That I haven't really focused a lot on, but just getting a little more consistent with that. And I just reached out to a couple of friends in the past week to ask if they wanted to have coffee. People that I know most of the friends that I have. And so I thought that was kind of like a reinforcement, encouragement for me on just staying up to date with friendships and the database and nurturing it like a growing seed.
Yeah.
Then it takes a lot of time.
Yes.
But it's worth it in the end. I never realized how much time it took just to keep up with a database.
You mean just keep up with making the calls or text messages and that kind of stuff, Spencer?
Yeah, or just keeping it organized and
Oh, yeah.
tracking people and appointments.
Yes,
friends.
I actually have somebody helping me to try to keep track and to make sure that I'm making the calls, or at least sending out a text and things like that. We have a lot of automated systems like 2 emails a month and stuff, but and then my assistant goes in and into my Facebook every morning and sends everybody who's got a birthday the next day an early happy birthday message. Right now, I'm telling you my secret because you're going to get an early happy birthday message if you're my Facebook friend. And then now you're going to know, oh, Rick didn't send that. But what happens is if they respond, my assistant's done. She doesn't respond. I do all the responding myself because I can see the responses on my phone. And that has led to referrals, recruits, sales, friendships, all kinds of good things. Right. And so, it's having something like that. But my whole life back, I can remember when I had nothing but paper calendars in the 80s and early 90s. I wished people happy birthday every single day. Anybody that I had down that it was their birthday. And then I remember when I had my first Palm Pilot, that's, Spencer, you probably don't remember that. You can look it up in Google or something. But I can remember having a Palm Pilot and uploading all the birthdays and everything. And so, glad you find that funny, MC. So it's always been a big deal to me to wish people happy birthday. So I like texting them or calling them as opposed to just posting it on their Facebook wall, right? I rather have a private message so that they know I'm personally thinking about them and I don't need the kudos from everybody else that I remember to say it, like stuff like that. Just my own little hangups, but I think it works. So, all right. So yeah, it's a good thing to do. The other thing, because I'm a speaker and a trainer and a recruiter, I probably would have done very well if I would have just stuck to one city. And then when I started a Facebook page, I found a guy that I'm going to interview. He has a product that helps you build a Facebook group, an actual group within Facebook that's just you and all your past clients and sphere of influence. Okay, so that anything, all the posts and everything, and they take care of it. They post for you, they do all kinds of things, and it's like $89 a month. I'm like, gosh, I really want to sign up for that. But I want to learn a little more about it because they're going to help you with getting all of those people that are on your past client base to be your friends on Facebook or join your group. And the way I understand it is they don't have to be your friend to join your group, which is good because I always have my 5,000 friends all maxed out, right? So to find room for 1,000 more would be tough. So there's a lot of positives around making that work, that group work. So, and I think groups don't have a limit. I don't think they can be limited to 5,000. So, yeah. All right. I keep feeling like I'm doing all the talking and you guys are doing very little talking, very little, very distinct.
That's a great idea, though, to set up a private Facebook group about past clients.
Yeah,
We had a wildfire 2 years ago, and I could not reach everybody,
yeah,
physically. I could not.
yeah,
And that would have been awesome to be able to give people tips about their insurance, et
right.
cetera. Yeah.
Right. And even I remember the wildfire because even EXP was sending out stuff to anybody that they thought was anywhere in the geographic region of the wildfire. Right. So it's definitely a positive thing, both for negative occurrences and positive occurrences. So, yeah. Okay. All right. So as we wind, down in the class, I'm going to pull up real quick. Week 10. And since while I'm pulling it up, who'd like to tell me what what was week 10 mostly about? I know Spencer touched on it a little bit, so.
You mean the scroll or all of the things?
Well, both actually, the scroll and what was the week about, like what was it focusing on in the 5 videos?
I think the scroll is about mindset, being
Okay.
positive mindset, because if you're a grump, then that your clients will reflect that back at you. And
Okay.
if you're positive, you'll get that back.
Yeah. Well, right. And they talked about like creating amazing client experiences. And they even talked about how to win in a competitive buyer seller market without discounting your fees. They talked about that kind of things, right? The 4 laws of the database. Do you guys remember a lot of that stuff?
Understanding your value proposition.
There you go. There you go. What is it that makes me special, right? I do want to say, guys, that, because my career got all jumbled up with owning offices and traveling and speaking and all of this, I lost my focus on being an expert in the same community. So this community of Fremont, California, which has Fremont, Newark, and Union City, used to be really the guts of my whole business. I would still sell all other places, but I was really big there. In fact, in my 41st year last year, I got the newspaper puts out a best of Fremont every year, and I got voted the best real estate team in Fremont. I didn't even know the contest was going on. We didn't even find out till 4 or 5 months after we won that we had won. Anyway, so this year we made it on purpose. We sent out people, hey, the voting's coming up. We sent out, even if you're on my list, you guys probably got something that said, please vote for Rick, for best in Fremont. But there's a lot to be said for wealthy realtors who have always focused on the one neighborhood, right? Just the one, right? And I haven't done that. So I'm more of what they call a social farmer. I kind of go where my people go where my referrals go, things like that. But I can tell you that there's a lot to be said about that. So about focusing and specializing in a niche. So, all right. Okay. Let's see. Let me look at this real quick. I'm going to check something real quick right here. Tenant review. Okay. All right. How many of you actually heard the wrap up from week 10? Because this might be a good way for us to initiate some questions. You heard it, Judy? Anyone else hear it? Michael, Spence, Missy? No? You're shaking. your
That's
head.
right.
Okay.
Missy was not here.
Okay, cool. Let's, did any of your group, Michael, go to Cabo?
We did not, although some of us are committing to 2023.
Okay, good. Well, there may not be a Cabo in 2023. It may be a Maui.
Ooh,
Yeah.
get to that too.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, for all of you here, everyone on here, the Build conference in Dallas, the registration just got released. Okay. So how many people went there last year? Okay.
Missy and I went from our crew.
I just put the link in there for you in the chat. Missy, you were in Dallas last year. Did we meet in person?
Did.
That's why. No, but that's why you look so familiar. Remember when I said you looked familiar? That must be why.
I'm gonna go with that.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, try that. All right, I put it in there. If you guys want to click on the link, it'll open it up. You can register after we get off the call. All right, let's see, share screen. Optimize video, share sound. Okay, let's watch
that you're
this.
well versed in how to
Oops,
handle
oh.
them.
All right, here we go.
Today, I will be the master of my emotions. Hey, this week we talked about dealing with your clients and handling objections. And as you practice client interactions, I want you to keep in mind the message of Og Mandino's sixth scroll. It says, "Today, I will be the master of my emotions, for unless my mood is right, the day will be a failure. If I bring rain and gloom and darkness and pessimism into my customers, then they will react with rain and gloom and darkness and pessimism. And that will purchase not. If I bring joy and enthusiasm and brightness and laughter to my customers, they will react with joy and enthusiasm and brightness and laughter, and my weather will produce a harvest of sales and a granary of gold for me." Look, whenever you are presented with objections or you're having a hard time with a client, remember that your attitude influences the outcome. Your client will often follow the example that you set. If you're defensive and push back, they're going to be defensive too. But if you're calm and you're respectful and you're open, they're likely to respond in kind. So lead with joy and enthusiasm and leave the gloom and the darkness and it's all about me behind. You know, mindset really is important. Literally, it's everything when you're striving to create amazing client experiences. I hope in this session you got fired up about thinking about ways you can elevate your service for your clients. If you truly care for your clients and you always strive to do what's best for them, you're well on your way to rock star status. So let's recap. Here are 6 of the steps or the tips that we've shared. First, listen to your client's needs. Focus on what's important to them. Second, speak their language. Remember session 31 on DISC? Here's where that knowledge really comes in handy. Third, follow through. If you say you're going to do something, write it down and then just do it. Period. Fourth, be honest. Honesty always is the right choice, even when it's hard. 5, keep in touch consistently. Be someone they can count on to keep them informed during the transaction. 6, prioritize them. Make sure your client always comes first. Look, if you realize and follow these simple steps, we guarantee you'll make clients and keep clients for life. And you know what they become? They become your raving fans. That's right, raving fans. In our session on overcoming objections, we shared with you the most common objections we've heard, and we gave you a tried and true method to handle them. But to be able to rely on these messages, you need to practice them a lot. Role play these objection handling techniques with a partner until they naturally come to you. Look, if you do, you will be less frustrated when clients don't agree with you, and you'll be able to handle the objection with confidence. Use the objection skill set journal to document what your client's objections were, and then how you handle them. and then what the ultimate result was. As you gain more and more practice and experience, you're going to find it easier and easier to painlessly resolve any objections or issues that come up. Next, we come to your fee. It's always one of the first things a potential seller wants to know. Well, how much do you charge? You see, they expect to pay you something. What they want is reassurance that what they'll be paying for is worth what they'll get. And that circles back to creating an amazing client experience. But you'll also need to convey your value proposition to your clients up front. You have to be able to discuss what you will do that's different from other agents and what makes you and your service unique. You really need to take the time to practice the scripts in your workbook so that if you're presented with any of the objections, that you're well versed in how to handle them. Once again, practice is the key. And finally, we get to the laws of a database. Your database is your most valuable asset. It is your business. By now, your database should have grown significantly from what it was when you started the course. Make sure that you're using the system we shared to keep it clean and neat while still growing and thriving. Remember the 4 laws of the database. Number 1, build it. Build your database. Use tags to organize, categorize all your leads, and do it right the first time you enter a person in. And then you'll never have to go back and redo it later. Next, grow it. And the only way I know to grow your database is to prospect. I'm going to mention it again. I need you to prospect. Did I mention prospect? Prospect. You got to plant the seeds, talk to the people, call them, knock doors, do the things every single day that allow you to grow that database. And then now when you have them in there, nurture your database. That means to follow up on a consistent and scheduled basis. Small touches with your leads and with your clients means a lot. And especially, it's where your referrals will come from. Maintain your database. Keep your clients' information updated. Use this as a reason to reach out to people and get updated contact information. Keep it organized and then tag all of your contacts so you can find anyone and everyone with just a couple of clicks. I can't stress enough how important it is that you do this from the very beginning. When you have a few thousand clients in there, and believe me, you will be thanking us for making you take this critical step. Look, before you head over to the next video, take a minute and make sure you finished all of your homework for this week. And that includes the following. Volunteer for floor time in your office and practice your new greeting when you answer the phone. Remember the my pleasure attitude. Role play the objection handling scripts and techniques for at least an hour every single day until you're so comfortable and confident in your delivery. It allows you to listen to understand instead of listening to respond. This adds points to your DSH tool as well. Keep filling out the objection skill set journal to track your progress. Guys, do your top 50 touches every day this week. Make sure that you don't miss any of those critical touches. Determine what the value add that you're going to implement into your business immediately. And then keep a running brainstorm of different ideas that you can work on and add down the road. If you haven't done it yet, clean up your database and make sure that every single contact is tagged and categorized. To me, this is a 100% non-negotiable activity. Make your accountability partner actually hold you to your word. From all of us at Workman Success, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on your ramp to success.
Okay. I love the part where he said, remember, call 3 people on your top 50 today. Did you hear that? That's a big deal. So yeah, and I think most of what he's talking about is definitely viable and not hard to do, uncomfortable to do maybe, but definitely not hard to do. So yeah, that's one of my particular favorite wrap-ups because our emotions do tend to control the day. I think I've shared it with you before, but this is my favorite saying about emotions. Listen carefully because you might miss it. Emotions are like kids. You don't want them driving the car, but you don't want to stuff them in the trunk either. Someone tell me what that means. No? Okay, so what it means is, what's that? Go ahead. Who was saying something?
Don't lead with your emotions. Like,
Right. Yeah, you don't want it leading your day, which is driving the car, right? You don't want your kids driving the car, but you don't want to stuff them in the trunk either. Your emotions actually, no matter how ugly they might be, can be used for good, right? You can ask my wife. She knows if she can piss me off, I clean the house better than anything when I'm pissed off. So, you know, sometimes I say, did you piss me off just to get me to clean the house or what? You know, so, but if you use your emotions for good, then good stuff comes out of it. That's why I say don't stuff it in the trunk and pretend your emotion isn't there. That just ends up causing you health, disease and all kinds of stuff, but you know, use it for good. So, yeah. All right.
Thing that I think
Yeah.
is great, a lot of times too, you know, you talk about accountability partners. It's good to have that partner too that you bounce stuff off of before reacting. Because obviously it can be very painful on the backside of it if you do let your emotion drive the car. And
Yeah.
like for example, when I get, obviously I'm a very fiery person. When I get fired up, I usually find Mike, because Mike will be the first one to take me from 10 back down to
Yeah.
3, but he won't take me to 0. Well, you know, like I still have, you know, I think I can work a little better with what I'm trying to, you know, really accomplish rather than allowing my emotions to take a hold of it. And it's good to just have that other person that kind of bring you back around.
Yeah. Good. That's good to hear that I'm not the only one that has to have that come to Jesus speech from someone else, you know, so. Yeah. All right. So yeah, and as we progress, like, right, we've got 2 more weeks, you really want to be thinking to yourself, the problem is at this point you say, I coulda, shoulda, woulda, if, coulda, shoulda, woulda, if, you got to get rid of all of that. If you did something and it worked, good for you. If you know you could have done more, that's also good for you, but don't spend time in what would have happened if I did. Spend time in what will happen when I do. Okay, because going that way is just a waste of freaking time. All right, so no more, you know, like, oh, wow, we went through these 12 weeks. I didn't do what I thought I would do in this time. So this is an opportunity for you to say, okay, I am very well aware now of what will happen when I do this. I just have not done it yet. Okay, so something to kind of give you impetus for the last 2 weeks, if you will, of the event. In the interest of helping you, if any of you are in the mindset, this isn't the rant part of recruiting. My wife and I are going on an RV tour starting Sunday, and we're going to go to different cities and speak all over Southern California and Las Vegas. Now you might say, oh, that's not my area. It doesn't matter. People know real estate agents everywhere. If you know real estate agents in those areas, you've talked to them about EXP or you want them to be exposed to it, some of these classes will have an EXP explained after them, but during the class, it's the class. And the class we're teaching is an incredible one that my wife and I designed, mostly her, called Communication Mastery, how to sell more homes and attract more agents when you master your communication. We're not going to title the class about the attraction unless it's only EXP, and it's not. So it'll basically be how to sell more houses by understanding your method of communication. So we'll definitely, if you look at that tour and see, I'm going to see if I can, yeah, that's what I'll do. Let me post a link to the tour in the chat group. Okay. And you guys can look it up real quick. Let's see.
The West Coast tour, right?
No, the West Coast tour is Brent. Our tour is not, we're not with Brent. But do you have the West Coast tour link? Because I was going to tell you to look at that also.
I think I saw it on his website yesterday.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool. Come to Boise. It won't be long, I promise. Let's see. Chat. I'll post that. Okay, so that one is the Casey and Rick tour that I just posted. Click on it. It should open in your computer. Okay, and then let's see if okay, and here's Brent Goes copy. Yeah, and Brent goes West Coast tour there. Yeah, so you got them both in the link right now, so in the chat, so, okay. But it's a good way. I mean, it's obviously, you call me up and say, Rick, I'm sending a guy named Jerry over to your class. Please tell him, that you enjoyed meeting him and welcome to the class and stuff. So, okay. All right. Well, does anybody have anything that they could be challenged with? That anything I can help with? Oh, I think, I don't know if I told you guys, but we did on February 24th. Did I tell you guys that? That I hosted a class that Brent was supposed to host in person here in Northern California. And they said it was going to go up on you. It was incredible, guys. It was talking to these two huge producers. Let me see if we can find that real quick, Brent. Go.com. Oh, wait, how do you go to YouTube and find Brent Gove? Let me see. Real estate training. Let's see if you click here.
Yeah.
What's that?
Forgot I wasn't on mute. I was just looking at Brent's list of destinations and saying there's some cool destinations.
Yeah.
Yours, when I click on yours, I see a couple of things in California. Are you traveling outside of California?
We're going to Vegas
Okay.
on this trip. Yeah. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm looking at the right thing. Your link.
Okay, let's see.
Just got, oh wait, here. I see the one in Vegas. Yeah, Jason Lindstrom and David Gold.
Yeah. Well, when you go to YouTube and you find somebody, you say, oh, it says visit site. That's not what I wanted to do. I just wanted to visit Brent Gove. Oh, here it is. It's on here. It's the lead generation workshop on February 24th.
Today we're here.
Oh, whoa.
I want you to remember something about
Oh, that's my voice. Wow, that was irritating. Sorry. I was like, why does that voice sound so familiar? And I realized it was mine. Okay, copy. So this is the kind of thing, I'm going to put this in the thing, even though you can find it in Brent Gove's YouTube site. Look at this. All right. So that's the whole class, I think, which was a couple hours long, and it was really good. Like, I learned a lot, and I may have said something on the call because we had a call on the 25th about how amazing it was and how much I learned from those two guys that spoke ahead of me. Chris Nevada. You guys remember this? Me talking about Chris Nevada, the guy that changed his last name to Nevada so he could have a team called the Nevada Real Estate Team. Okay, you must have remembered that. That's hilarious. So, and then another guy named Aaron Rawls. So definitely watch that stuff. Go in there. There's a lot of good stuff. Everything, by the way, everything that happened at Cabo is going to be on there too. That's good, right? So, all right. Okay, any last minute questions? Missy, I'm looking forward to seeing you in Dallas. Oh, yes, you absolutely can share this with non-EXP people. It's up on Brent's YouTube channel. Anybody can share this stuff. Please do. It's good stuff. In this case, not always. When Brent does stuff like that, it's not always EXP people that are talking. In this case, it did happen to only be EXP people that are talking, but sometimes they have panelists from other companies and stuff like that just to sort of share the wealth. So, all right. Okay.
Rick, you may need to help me get Missy back to Dallas. I don't know. She wasn't super excited about Tony Robbins, but
I'm
the
not-
rest of
Missy, we got that in common. I did not go for Tony Robbins. I am not. I was a huge fan of his in the late 80s and the 90s. And then I was like, I'm hearing the same, because I do a lot of personal development myself. You know, I always tell people the most important part of being a real estate agent is being hungry. When we went to Dallas, the first thing that came out of his mouth, what's the one thing about successful people? They're hungry. He said that. I'm like, I'm no Tony Robbins, but yeah, I've been saying that for years. So,
Yes, yeah.
So-
Yeah, and I'll tell you what though, but I loved all the, the speakers.
Yeah.
EXP. That was
Yeah.
phenomenal. The energy in the room and everything, just, yeah,
Yeah.
the whole Tony Robbins thing, I was like,
Yeah, and the one thing Brent's committed to is that he's not using the same speakers anymore. Like we went to Cabo, there was a lady up there, there was people up there that had 10,000 people in their group. There was one lady had like 23 people in her group, in her whole group. So they're
Yeah.
getting different stories from different people so that everybody can identify with one of the stories. So they're doing a really good job. So yeah, I wouldn't miss it if I were you. And on the day of Tony, go shopping or swimming.
that's true. Yeah.
I'll go with you.
Deal, that's a deal.
Yeah. You know, and then what's his name said that the other day, that you learn, you have to be in Jesse Zagorski. You guys all know him, right? He's in my organization. He's a pretty, pretty big coach and stuff, but he says people learn in a state, meaning an enthusiastic or uplifted state, which is what Tony was saying that day. And I'm like, really? Because I learn really well with peace and quiet.
Yep, I think that's when you have to remember that everybody has a different learning style.
Right,
You're gonna
right,
catch some, but you're not gonna catch all.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being honest, but I'll definitely hang out with you. I think you're a cool lady. So
Thank you to Mike for being honest about me.
Yeah. yeah, against my own choice.
Yeah.
Thanks for being brutally honest about me, Mike. So anyway,
Rick,
All
I have
right.
a question. This is Nancy again.
hi Nancy from Boise. How are you again?
I'm actually Nancy from Temecula and I'm right under Zach Bach.
Oh,
But
I
I'm
know
Nancy
you.
in Boise. Yeah, you do. I'm Nancy in Boise now. And my grandbabies are here. So that's what relocated me 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But I do very little business in Temecula. Anyway, my question is, I am very far behind in the course.
Mhm.
What would you recommend? I am
over.
really good. Okay,
Start
I'm perfect. I'm really good at, so my question is, I'm really good at taking large chunks of time to do things.
Yeah.
And I have the weekend
Mhm.
and through Tuesday, where at this point, I don't have a lot going on. Do you recommend kind of cramming, or do you recommend, and I don't want to say cramming, but really taking that time and being purposeful on doing it? Or do you recommend only one a week?
No,
I just want your thoughts on that.
I would go back now, and run the toughest week is week 1. Most number of videos, everything is, if you would just get all of the assignments done in week 1, you could pick up anywhere and be completely fine. Okay. So
Well,
I
I'm
would
only on week 2, so that's not too hard.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is there's more homework assignments in week 1 than almost the rest of the weeks combined. Would everybody agree? Like there was so much, build your business plan workbook, fill out your DSH, But then as you go through them, it says, oh, do this also and this also. But if you're not already doing, then it's all of a sudden like, wait, they gave me 18 things to do in a day. No, they didn't. They gave you one thing to do in a day. Then a couple weeks later, they said, here's another thing to do in a day, like your 3-2-1s, and you're calling your sphere of influence, and and separating out your sphere of influence or your top 50. That's why I say there's so much good stuff, but it's a lot. And that's why we bid it, we say bite by bite over 12 weeks, but week 1 is a toughie.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I would review week 1, Nancy, but don't try to shove it all in. If it takes you 2 weeks to do week 1, then let it take you 2 weeks, but at least be thorough about it. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I appreciate you being on with enthusiasm. So, yeah. Everybody else doing okay? All right. And Judy, where are you again? I'm sorry, I keep asking you that. Are you what?
Salt Lake City.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay, cool.
I'm pretty
So,
close to Vegas, so
yeah, you might want to come and see that. Yeah, we'll have a blast there. So, okay. Well, everybody have a lovely weekend, and remember this: tomorrow night before you go to bed, turn your clocks forward. Don't forget. I mean, unless you live in Phoenix or what other states there are that don't do it. I think Hawaii doesn't do it either, does it? So, all right. Okay. I'll talk to you all next week.
Thank
Love you
you.
guys.
Thank you. Bye.
bye.